Well, hey there, welcome back to Manitic Stringworks. So today on the workbench we have this really cool Gibson Les Paul style guitar. It's an Degas or Degas model from the late 70s or early 1980s, made in Japan. So this would be from the lawsuit era. So this is when Japanese guitar makers were making unlicensed versions of Les Pauls, especially Gibson Les Pauls and other guitars, and selling them on to distributors in North America. Of course, that caused a lot of problems, and it was stopped in the sort of mid-80s, 1980s. Anyways, there's still a lot of these around. This one's made in Japan, and it's a really good example of one, to be honest. A friend of mine picked it up recently, and he brought it over to me to have a look at, see how it's playing, set it up, check everything, electronics, switches, the whole 9 yards. So let's have a look at this guitar in detail. So Degas is a brand name that was used quite commonly here in Canada. It was imported under this name, made in Japan, this model. Look at the inlays here, sort of a mother of pearl. That's actually real, not plastic. The craftsmanship on these is really good, especially these early Japanese versions. Now this could be from the late 70s, early 80s, like 80, 81, 82 at the latest, because then they switched over to Korea. I gotta flip it over. It's heavy, but not that heavy. Not as heavy as a lot of Les Pauls are, of course. There we go, made in Japan. No serial numbers on the back of the headstock. There might be some sort of serial number inside here in the control cavity, but not 100% sure. It's in good shape. Bolt-on neck, which I like. I don't mind, because you can fix it. If it's set in there, it could be pooched sometimes. A little burn mark, maybe. Cigarettes, potentially. These tuners, I mean, they're okay, I guess. I'll see how they turn. A few scratches, dings, but that's great. This is a 40 plus, probably 45-year-old guitar, so, and it was well played, well used. You can see the wear on the pickups. All the gold plating's almost all gone. Rusty screws. Not sure what's going on with this saddle here. It's almost like a plastic. Or is that bone? Probably plastic, but interesting nonetheless. Speed knobs, little indicators. Not sure if those were original. They might be, but someone might have put those on at some point. Switch. Switch is a little wonky. Have to check that out. But the action doesn't look too bad on this guitar, to be honest. The setup and the frets, a little bit of fret wear. Yeah, on the first and second frets. Third a bit, but then it sort of disappears as you go up the fingerboard. So, yeah. Of course, I want to check the electronics, and expecting scratchy pots, that kind of thing, for sure. Of course, we have 3 pickups on this model. It's like a Peter Frampton sort of model, Ace Frehley. Alright, we've got some volume. Okay, so let's put this in what would be the neck position. Yeah, this switch is not the greatest. So that's the neck. Let's see. Okay, and could this be all 3? Yeah, there's a little bit of output coming there. Not a lot, to be honest. And then this would just be the bridge. A little bit of output there, so okay. It's making noise. Let's see here. Okay, that volume's working. Oh, there's the scratchy pot. Might be able to just turn that a dozen times. Okay, let's try. Whoa. Yeah, I'll have to clean those. I want to take that control cavity plate off anyways, have a look under there. Oh, it's gone away already. So I'm curious in the middle position here, what's controlling what here? Still volume. Okay, I guess it's that one. Not too sure. Well, I am curious to see what sort of output we've got going on with these pickups. So, just got my multimeter set to ohms. Got the ground lead on the barrel of the output jack, and then the hot lead, the red, on the tip. So that's how you do that setup. Put that down. So, that's interesting. Let's crank these up. That's better. Getting some weird readings there. Okay, so 4.36 for the neck. That's pretty low for a humbucker. For the bridge, 4.14 kilo ohms, and for the, well, I can't say it's the middle pickup, I think it's all pickups, 2.14, which would make sense. So if you use ohms as a measure of output, which it's not necessarily, definitely these are low. I mean, the humbuckers, normally we'd have them around 7.8, 6, 7, 8 at least. So I would say these are low output humbuckers. Interesting. You might want to change those too. Okay, we're going to check neck relief first. Capo on the first fret. I'll tighten that a bit. Okay, and we like to see about 8 to 9 thousandths of relief at the 7th fret. So I'll use the feeler gauge. I'm going to press down where the neck meets the body or at the last fret. Up to you. And let's go to the 7th fret and see where we are. Okay, it's just touching, so kind of like that. And if I put it in the playing position, for those of you who prefer that, I'm going to just turn it on its side like that. Again, let's check it out. Yeah, it's just clearing there, so probably got about 9-10 thousandths. Yeah, that's good. I like that. So the neck relief is serviceable the way it is. Now to check the action, so I'm going to use my string height gauges for that. You can purchase a set at ManticStringworks.com. Shameless plug, of course. So I have my string height and the pickup height gauges too. So I'm going to take the 5/64, which is about 2 millimeters, and Gibson specs are 5/64 at the 12th fret, 3/64 or 1.2 mils at the 12th fret of the first string. So 6th string is 5/64. Yeah, it's a little high, not terribly high. And then 3/64, 1.2 mil. Yeah, that's really high. So that's too high. Now, I don't know when the last time this was set up. Probably a long time ago. Or they're trying to hide some issues with the frets, maybe. Some high frets, uneven frets, not sure. But for now, we could do with lowering the action here. Okay, next thing I want to check is the nut action. So the action at the first fret. So the strings should be just above that first fret. If you press down on the 3rd fret and then push down at the first, it's just barely above the fret. Go to each string. Yeah, it's pretty low, and that, I'm not surprised. And 45-year-old guitar, that nut has probably worn down a bit. I like to see 18 thousandths, especially on an older guitar that's been worn in at the first fret. So I'm going to try and put that under there. Yeah, that's really scraping. Let's try the 5th string. Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah. Okay. So really on the 6th string we might be at 16 or less. Yeah. So if I put the feeler gauge on top of the fret, push down on the top of the fret and try and strum the string, if I can hear it buzzing, well then it's touching it. See? So that's higher than 16. Yeah, so we have a bit of inconsistency in the nut height, nut slots. Yeah, so this is much slower than 15 thousandths. Do I even dare? 12 thousandths? Okay. So it's probably around 13, 14 thousandths here at the 6th string, which is pretty low, but as long as you're strumming and it doesn't buzz in the open position like that, then we're okay. But definitely this nut probably could be replaced either now or in the near future, so keep an eye on that. So this is something new for me, to be honest. I haven't seen these type of saddles here. They're, like I mentioned earlier, it seemed to be plastic or ceramic even. It could be bone, but it doesn't feel like bone. It feels more synthetic. So maybe a ceramic, or I don't know. If you know, if you've run into this, let me know. But these strings are really deep in these slots. Again, for a 45-year-old guitar, not surprised. But that's interesting. I'm going to use my little jack tool here. So this is just a little pry bar from Home Depot. Piece of leather here to protect the top of the guitar. I'm just going to try and get it underneath the bridge a bit. Make sure that the pry bar is on the leather, and I can just ease up the bridge. Let me turn the camera around. It'll be easier for you to see. Okay, I think that's better. So, piece of leather on top of the guitar, the pry bar just under the bridge, and I'm just going to lever it up a little bit, just enough to let me lower the thumb screw, because under tension it's very hard to do that. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the bass side. If I can get under the bridge. Can I get under it? Yeah. Okay, good. So same thing, I'm just going to lower it just a little bit. That way I don't have to detune anything. It's going to be out of tune, but I'll just check the string height now. Okay. Yeah, we're right on it now at 3/64. Now personally, I don't like 3/64 on the first string for a Les Paul or any guitar, to be honest. I would prefer to set up guitars, even a Les Paul, at 4/64 all across the 12th fret. Just seems to be a little more consistent. So I'm going to leave this for now as the Gibson spec, even though this isn't a Gibson. And I'll make some adjustments if we need to. Okay, I've tuned the guitar up. Haven't checked the intonation or anything, but now I just want to see if we play it. If we have any buzzing. I was more concerned about that first string. You can do it in the playing position. I find when it's on the workbench, if you go each fret like this, if you have buzzing here, you have an issue. If you don't have any buzzing, if it's flat on the workbench, you're not going to have any buzzing when you're playing it. So you get just a little bit of flex from the neck when it's on the rest here. It's barely a couple of thousandths, but could be enough to prevent any sort of fret buzzing. So overall, I don't mind the setup. You know, we're at about 9 thousandths, just under 10 for the neck relief. I mean, the nut is low, the nut action here, so that'll have to be replaced at some point. Pickup height, there's a lot of pickups here, right? So I'll just check that quickly. Yeah, they're all too high. So this is 1/8 on the bass side and 3/32 or 6/64. 1/8 is about 3.2 mils, 6/64 is 2.4 mils. So these are all too high, they have to come down. But I will do that before I check intonations. Before I do the intonation though, I am going to adjust the pickup height because a lot of people feel that it affects the intonation, and I actually don't disagree. So I've changed my setup habits so I make sure that the pickup heights are where we want them before we do anything to the intonation. So I'm going to see if these even move. Oh yeah, it's moving. Gotta help it sometimes, you know, give it a little push. So hold down the last fret. There we go. I'm going to charge extra for this stuff because I have so many pickups. A little more. So if the pickups are too close to the string, it definitely can affect the vibration of the string, the harmonic, if you will. You know, how it, in its ellipse that it works, you know, that I could see that happening. So for sure, let's adjust these pickups. Now again, I put them at 1/8 on the bass side because that's a good starting point. And then you can make little adjustments after that that suit your, you know, your search for tone, playability, that kind of thing. Again, you don't want it too far away either, too low in the body, because then you're going to lose output. See, that one's okay, but these two, the neck and the middle one. So yeah, it is subjective, of course, but you want to make sure you can play the guitar without bashing the string against the pickup. And you want to have decent output level as well, right? So it's a little balance. Doesn't take much, right, just to do this, easy enough. And of course these rods are brass, so they're not magnetic. You don't want to do it with something metal because it sticks to it. Just like that. Okay, let's look at the intonation. So I'm going to do it on the A string. So detune a bit, then move up to the note. Get as close as you can. I'm not sure how old these strings are. They look in decent shape. So we're definitely flat. So when the note is flat, that means we have to shorten the length of the string. So we have to move the saddle up the neck towards the nut. If it's sharp, then we have to lengthen the string. So we move it back towards the tailpiece in this case. So we'll check that again. Yeah, we're definitely flat. So Les Pauls, the Tune-o-matic bridge, we have, yeah, there we go. We have a screw. Now how far can I go? Will it move easily? Oh, it's moving quite nicely. So I'm going to move this up quite a bit, pretty much right to the front. I'm going to detune and reseat this string in there. Sometimes it gets hung up and doesn't actually move. Get it tuned as close as you can. Check the harmonic. Okay, that's better. It's better, but it's not good. I'm actually curious about something. Okay, so 24 3/4 inch scale should be about 629 millimeters. 628.65 exactly, but 629, let's say. So that means if we say 630 would be 315 millimeters. So the halfway point to the middle of the 12th fret. So it'd be a little less than that. We're actually only at 300, if I look to the middle of the fret, about 312, 313. So we're, a good 2-3 millimeters almost shy of the 24.75. So if the placement of the bridge is based on a 24.75 scale, but the actual middle section here to the 12th fret, middle measurement, is a little less than that, well, then your bridge is going to be too far back and you can't come forward enough for intonation. So it's going to mean that you're probably going to be a little bit out on all the strings. Maybe, not so much on the plain strings, but for the wound strings for sure. So yeah, the guitar was played for 45 years, so without issues. So I don't think you're going to notice a little, a couple of cents, 2 or 3 cents out of tune on the 12th fret when you're playing some heavy rock and roll, Okay, I'll bring you in close here. So if you look at the saddle, it's white, so it's glaring a little bit in the light. But I've got that saddle all the way forward as it can go. So the only thing I can do to get a little more intonation if I move this forward is to try, I would unscrew it completely, flip the saddle around, so now that leading edge is up here, and that might actually help with the intonation to get a little bit more out of it, because right now it's still flat. Okay, I'm going to loosen the string off, sure it's out of the way. Now I'm going to see if we can get this off. Now you see there's a little retainer clip right there. So I'm going to need to pop that up and off. Take the 6th string off too here. I should be able to just get these off the 2 here, 5 and 6. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to get that off, and let's see if we can remove this now. Okay, I'm going to have to get the screw right out because it does thread into the back side of the bridge here. Actually a nice bridge. Oh, can I get it? Might have to fiddle around with it a bit. Yeah, just the point of it sticks into the back. There's a little hole there. Oh, come on. All right, I got it. Okay, so now we want to flip that around. It's definitely plastic, this piece. Now I'm going to preemptively sort of put it all the way. I guess I don't have to, but I just want to stick it around. So I hope you can see the point of all this, right? Is that I've flipped that saddle around, so now that leading edge is more forward. Stay down there. And that should give us a little more intonation adjustment. Okay, so I put it all the way forward. I'm going to get that retaining clip back on. Although I probably should just take it off because I kind of suspect I'm going to have some more to do. There we go. Oh, it came off the other side. Okay. All right. Let me... Oh, that side is still not in. Okay. All right, let's get the strings back on, get it up to pitch, and see how we did. Okay, cross your fingers. We're tuned. And it's still flat, but that's better than it was. And that's as much as I can go forward with it. So, not much else I can do with this at the moment. try the E. I think the E was a little flat as well. Tuning's flat. Yeah, so I'll do the same thing with the E. How about the D? Oh, I just heard something. I'll have to check that out in a second. Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's a problem again with the scale length. We're not really matching, we're too far back. We can't come forward enough because the scale length is not actually 24 3/4 on this guitar. Okay, so the intonation issues have been sorted out as best as I can. Really, the problem's going to be on this A string, still flat as far as I can go. The D string is, again, the same sort of thing as the A, but the other strings I've intonated okay, which is fine. But I have noticed an issue with the nut and tuning, some pinging happening, so let's have a look at that. Okay, I noticed while I'm tuning it up and working on the intonation that the strings are binding in the nut slots. They're going ping, and of course, hopefully it works. When I do it here, let's see if it makes the noise. So this is the D string. Oh, hear that, eh? So it's just not riding in that nut slot nicely. So there's the D, here's the A. Yeah. He's not so bad. Let's see the G. Oh, there we go. So what happens is it binds and then it'll just pop and jump, right? So you're trying to tune it smoothly and then it just jumps. Oop. It just went crazy sharp. Yeah. So really what that is, especially on these 3+3, 3 on each side, the angle of the string is going out to, especially on the D and the G, it's really acute and it binds up against the back of the nut slot there. So the easiest thing to do is just relieve that back end of the nut slot, and it helps it slide in and out a little better. So let me get some nut files out. I'm going to work on the G here. The D and the G first, because those two really are always the culprits. So I've got this one 17,000. So I'm just going to go off to the back a bit, angle it down, and then just sort of turn it towards the tuning post. I mean, that's what Gibson should be doing with this stuff. So I'm just opening it up a little bit at the back, just the back side, and then just turning it to face that tuning post. And you just do light passes until you feel that things are moving nice and smooth. Yeah, already. Yeah, I don't hear anything anymore. Okay. Oh, ding, ding, ping, ping, ping. So let's do the D string now. So the D, we're looking at 26 here. So I'm just going to do the same thing, just the back. So just sort of rock your file a little bit back and forth like that. That opens the back, and then again I'm going to turn it so it's facing the tuning post a bit, and just the back edge, not a lot, just enough. See if that helped. Yeah. See, just a little bit of filing will make your tuning a lot easier. Okay, I'll do the rest of them. So I've opened up the slot here on the A string, but listen. That's not the nut slot. Watch, I'm going to dampen that. It's the actual tuning machine here that's making a squeaking noise. And then if I let go of the string, of course it amplifies it. Okay, well, tuning machine's a little problematic. Okay, well the setup has been checked here and everything seems fine. I'm going to put that spring back on the bridge. So it sets up nicely. I haven't checked the truss rod yet, which I'm going to have a peek at. And then just have a look at the controls and this switch, which, yeah, it's not the best. So you might be saying, why didn't you check the truss rod right away? And normally I do. But in this case, like I said, I'm just checking this guitar over for my friend. And initially everything seems set up well and I didn't have to do anything with the truss rod. But of course I'm going to check and see that it works. It's not all mangled up. So in the future, if we need to make some adjustments, then we won't have any issues. Or not too many issues, hopefully. This screw, is it turning even? Yeah, it's turning. This doesn't really want to come out. I might have to pry up this truss rod cover a little bit. How about that? I can actually just slide this out of the way. That's actually a good feature. Rather than trying to take it all off. So yeah, that looks pretty good in there. Jeez, let me turn it around the other way. Yeah, that looks really nice. I don't think it's been played around with too much. Some dust, even the original polishing compound. And looks to be, well, it could be a 4mm, could be a 5. Looks too big for a 4. Yeah, 4 just slides in and out. How about a 5mm? Do I have a small one here? Here we go. Yeah, it's 5mm. Okay. So will it turn? So I'm just gonna loosen it first. So righty tighty, lefty loosey. Yeah, it's pretty tight, but it's moving, so yeah, it definitely loosens off, but I think we're pretty much at the end of its tightening adjustment, so okay, that's good to know. So I know that this is a problem and that it's loose. Shouldn't go that way. But it stays in its position pretty well. So I'll let my friend know that if he wants to change that. I don't have one on hand, but we can get one and change that out. That's relatively easy, but yeah, definitely, again, that's just wear, 40 plus years. Okay, we're going to flip this over and have a look at the controls. At minimum, they're going to need a little contact cleaner. Do I have my parts bin? I do. This guitar has enough scratches on the back. I'm not going to worry about the plastic bin on there. Don't get all upset. You guys are great. I don't get too many negative comments like that. Whoop, there we go. Okay, that looks all original, like nothing's been touched. Dusty with the polishing compound. Lots of access, lots of room. They're bigger pots, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in there. Spray, I'm going to try. So electrical contact cleaner. This I just got at my local hardware store. You can get whatever brand you like. So really all you're doing is spraying in, finding wherever you can get in there. And this doesn't hurt anything, believe it or not. Oh, I'm spraying liquid in there, yeah. It evaporates really quickly. Doesn't do anything to the finish. Sometimes you have little tabs in here that you can get at. So I gotta let that soak in a little bit. And then all you do is flip it over and use those speed knobs. Just spin them around a whole bunch of times. You might have to do this a few times. Contact cleaner. Usually when a guitar sits and it's not played a lot, that's when the contacts, the wipers in the pots get dirty, corroded. Okay, that should be enough for that. Always one screw, right? Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Let me show you. Lots of compound, but look at the switch. So it's one of those sort of side switches, I guess I like to describe it. I definitely don't have one of those. But, yeah. Lots of room in there. Wow. I kind of like that because usually it's just a little round hole and it's hard to get the wires in, do all kinds of stuff, but that looks like it might be pretty accessible. Cool. Yeah, I'll let my buddy know that if he wants to replace it, that we can do that soon. Just have to source out this switch. Cool. How about we weigh this guitar? So 8.73 pounds, 3.96 kilograms. That's actually a good weight for a Les Paul style guitar. Nice. Okay, so I'm all done looking this guitar over, checking it out, and one thing I did notice at the end here is that these are actually stickers. It's not they're not inlays, they're just like little silver tape stickers, very thin, but sticker nonetheless. I don't know if they were on there originally, someone put them on there, but yeah, they're stickers. Be curious if there's like a dot inlay under there. Anyways, what do I think of this guitar? I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, made in the late 70s, early 80s in Japan. It's definitely a lawsuit era Les Paul style guitar, Degas. Here in Canada you could get these. I don't know if you can get them in the US or not, or overseas, but definitely here in Canada. So overall, the setup's very good. Everything's working. Truss rod works. Switch needs to be replaced, but it works. Controls are fine. Pickups are working. Intonation is okay. As good as it's going to get. But it's very playable. Minimal fret wear. A few little notches here in the first 3 or 4 frets. Those could be worked out for sure. What would I do with this guitar? Well, I would change the tuners. I always would change the tuners on older guitars. That's one. I would change the switch. And then maybe, you know, maybe recrown. At least just polish these up, the frets. But everything's nice. I mean, there's no fret sprout or anything because of the binding. Overall, it's a great guitar. Super solid. Made in Japan. Tell me what you think. Do you have any experience with these guitars? Because different brand names probably. Apparently they're all made in the same 2 or 3 factories in Japan. But I like it. I like it a lot. I think my friend is going to enjoy playing this. Degas. However you want to say it. It's still a cool guitar. Tell me what you think in the comments. See you in the next video.